You know, some books feel less like a story and more like a timeless fable. That's The Alchemist. It's this incredibly powerful story about following your dreams, but it starts in a place you would absolutely never expect, by totally flipping a classic myth on its head.
So the book kicks off with its own version of the legend of Narcissus, and we all think we know this story, right? This good-looking guy sees his reflection in a lake, falls completely in love with himself, leans in too far, and, well, drowns. It's the ultimate story about vanity.
But this is where Coelho just completely turns it around. In his version, the lake is found weeping, but it's not for Narcissus. The lake is crying because it can no longer see its own beauty reflected back in Narcissus's eyes. It's such a brilliant way to open, and it sets up this huge theme. We often find ourselves by seeing how we're reflected in the world around us.
Now, this idea of perseverance, of finding your treasure when all seems lost, it isn't just in the story. It's literally the story of the book. I mean, you are not going to believe this, but this global bestseller, it was a complete and total failure at first.
And when I say failure, I mean a disaster. Just think about this. The first week it was out, it sold one copy. One. 6 months later, a second copy is sold. To the very same person. After a whole year, the publisher just canceled the contract. For any other book, that would have been the end of the story.
But Paulo Coelho, he just wouldn't give up. He truly believed the book was a part of him, his own heart and soul. And that core idea, that your destiny is real, that it's something tangible and worth fighting for, well, that's the engine that drives this entire book. And that same kind of belief is exactly what drives our hero. So let's dive into the story itself and meet Santiago. He's a young shepherd boy, living a quiet life out in the fields of Andalusia.
Santiago's life is simple, it's predictable. He actually chose to be a shepherd instead of a priest because it meant he could travel and be free. He's pretty happy, really. He's got his flock, his books. He thinks he has everything he could ever want. But then, his quiet little world gets turned upside down. Just look at the difference here. On the left, you've got his familiar life, the gentle, comfortable hills he knows. On the right, the Egyptian pyramids from his dream. They look huge, mysterious, and maybe a little scary. This is basically his inner conflict, right? The comfort he knows versus the pull of the great unknown.
See, he keeps having this dream, again and again, about a hidden treasure waiting for him all the way over in Egypt. And this is what's known as the call to adventure. It's like the universe is tapping him on the shoulder, saying, hey, there's something bigger out there for you if you're brave enough to go find it.
So this dream really starts to get to him, and while he's looking for answers, he meets this mysterious old man who says he's a king. And this king, he's about to explain the entire philosophy of the book.
He introduces Santiago to this concept of a personal legend. Now, this isn't just a goal or a dream. It's your true purpose, the one thing you were put on this earth to do. The king says that when you're young, you know what it is, and anything seems possible. But then, the king warns him about something he calls the world's greatest lie. And this is so powerful. It's that cynical voice that creeps in as we get older, the one that tells us we're just victims of fate. It's the lie that makes us give up on our passions because we start to believe our dreams are impossible and that we don't have any control.
So how do you fight that? How do you keep your dream alive when everyone and everything is telling you to just be realistic? Well, the king answers that question with a little story. He tells him about a boy who has to walk through a beautiful palace while balancing 2 drops of oil on a spoon. The first time, he's so focused on the oil he sees nothing. The second time, he's so amazed by the palace he spills the oil. The secret, the king says, is to do both. See all the world's wonders, follow your big dreams, but never ever forget your daily responsibilities, the drops of oil on the spoon.
Okay, so armed with this new wisdom, Santiago makes a choice. He decides to believe in his dream, and he takes this massive, irreversible step into the unknown.
He sells his entire flock of sheep. And think about that. That's not just his job. That's his whole identity, his security, everything. He takes the money, buys a ticket, and crosses the strait from Spain over to Africa. There is no turning back now.
So he gets to Tangier, he's full of hope, ready for his grand adventure, and bam, disaster. He trusts the stranger to be his guide, and within moments the guy is gone, and so is every single coin Santiago has.
And this is the first huge test. What do you do? I mean, really, what would you do in that situation? You've sacrificed everything for this dream, and it seems like it's over before it's even started. You're alone in a foreign land with absolutely nothing.
He's completely crushed, just weeping in the marketplace. But when he empties his pockets, the only thing left are 2 small stones the old king gave him. Now, he can't buy food with them, he can't get a ticket home, but there's something way more important. They're proof. Proof that the king was real and that his journey, his personal legend, is real too.
And right there, in that moment of total despair, something just shifts inside him. He stops seeing himself as a poor victim who lost everything. He redefines himself with these simple words. He's an adventurer. And that, right there, is the core lesson of the entire book. The treasure was never just about gold buried in the sand. It's about the transformation that happens inside you when you refuse to give up, and the person you become along the way.